Joe, there's a big problem of the supply chain and fraud, transparency, all these topics we've spoken about. How are you guys going to fix it? I mean, you have fantastic partners. What is the action line over the next year?
Yeah, so as we sort of committed to was move to 100% accountable and addressable supply by the end of 2020. So this was a get the key stakeholders together, redefine some of those really important definitions, things like whose numbers are going to get used, who's responsible for fraud, how do we implement policies and technologies to ensure that fraud isn't some backward-looking process of make goods and reconciliations and sort of rebates, but we're literally doing the things that are necessary in order to starve fraud out at the source and remove it from the transaction entirely. That is, remove the financial incentive for bad actors to introduce malware or to introduce fake content or the like. So again, because you had the opportunity to redesign the actual flow through the ecosystem, we could be bolder about how we contemplated that. So identify a key partner that was really good at it, make it the backbone of the approach. And then we said, okay, having assembled this ecosystem, it's premium media, right? So don't start from the bottom and filter out. Start with what that a P&G or an IBM or an Uber or a State Farm wanted. And you know what they want, right? They want sight, sound, and motion on premium content with advertising that stirs the blood, right? You know they want premium digital properties that are on the ComScore 250 that spend a tremendous amount of time and money ensuring that the experience for their visitors is amazing and rich and engaging, and they want it to be long-term. Start there and connect them to the marketers that are smart and sophisticated and iconic and would pay more to get more, right? Literally know their businesses well enough that they would invest more in order to get higher quality advertising as opposed to simply mass reach.
So tell us about the partners, where that stands and where you hope to go, your launch partners and where you hope the scope of this goes.
Yeah, so again, in this notion of rethinking what was important, we looked and said, rather than focus on lots and lots of pipes and plumbing, which has been the approach of the sort of the Lumascape to date, lots of logos. Many of those don't necessarily touch customers either as a marketer or as a media company. Let's instead focus on creating really, really clear integrations between the key components that are necessary in order to make an ad happen online, which requires lots and lots of technologies, lots of third parties in order to do that, but really go back a little bit to the root and say, here's a marketer, here is a media company. We're trying to connect the two of those as efficiently and effectively as possible. One of the principles to how we did that was radical transparency bidirectionally for every hop in the value chain. Right? So to participate, you literally have to, everybody that's involved in a transaction, that the value that they create, the role that they're playing, the price that they extract. If we're trying to rebuild trust in the ecosystem, start with allowing an advertiser to know exactly how their dollars flow through the value chain to publishers and to consumers. Great. So then we said, all right, who are the companies that are aligned, who are scaled, who are global businesses with powerful technologies? Let's create really tight partnerships with them, aligned product roadmaps, aligned go-to-markets, really longer-term partnerships than what happens in a single auction or a single moment of a transaction. Rubicon Project was one for us on the kind of traditional digital side of things. They've got a great reputation. A lot of the work that Michael Barrett and his team have done over the past few years has really been around sort of delivering a lot of these promises to their core customers. They're big media properties in terms of fixed pricing, transparent economics, et cetera. So they were starting from an advanced position relative to a lot of the market on one hand. And then we looked at Talaria as a way to access the big TV, right? So the big media companies that themselves looked at this ecosystem, and in the same way that an advertiser has a supply chain, someone who owns amazing content and engaging experiences looks at the connection to a marketer and says, that's my demand chain, right? Those are my clients. And there's been so much opacity and mistrust and misaligned incentives in the middle that no one's really known what people are focused on or what their goals are over the long term. Source is the framework, right? Sort of a platform for industry collaboration that allows a marketer to know what's really important to a media owner and a content creator, and for that content creator and media owner to connect and understand not just why an advertiser is buying in this moment, but what's really important to them in the long term, what they can do in order to better service a brand next quarter, and just create just a more virtuous ecosystem, because good advertising works for consumers, good advertising works for advertisers, and good advertising works for everybody that connects them, and we just have to get to that better place, and I think we're here.
So one last question, is this a sort of a pilot? Do you hope to have more partners? Obviously there's some big players like Google and Facebook out there. How will this expand beyond other DSPs? What is your goal in terms of partnerships and expansion into other companies?
I want to fix advertising. So, by the end of 2020, want to have the whole backbone of digital advertising re-engineered in this way. So the notion is we want everybody ultimately to be part of Source. Yes, all with that said, we want to maintain the highest of standards and the greatest amount of integrity, because I think it's really important to not get sloppy. So the founding members are effectively the standards definers, the highest common denominator, and then I think we'll constantly be recruiting people to join this movement, this industry platform, as long as they're all willing to play by these very, very high standards and rules, because the only way to do it. I think we'll be a great partner here. They're obviously, they've been a great partner of ours for since we've started, in fact, and I think that right now, what Google's largely tried to do is provide the scale and the simplicity that marketers are craving over a really, really complicated landscape. The rest of the internet, quite frankly, hasn't had a natural way to collaborate. It's been a whole host of many-to-many integrations, right? So, company A connects to company B, C, D, and E, company B to, company 1, 2, 7, and 4, and all of those contracts, all of those technical integrations are largely bespoke, right? There certainly are industry standards, but they're not necessarily enforced, and if they're or audited or the like, and a lot of people kind of roll their own. The opportunity here is to basically create that shared framework, that shared platform, to make that collaboration easier. And then I would be extraordinarily excited to see Google say, great, we love the framework that you've created. It delivers against accountability, it delivers against addressability. We all service the same brands, we all work with the same media companies. We, Google, would love to participate in that environment as well. And 7 to 8 months is my current over-under.